the problem with men. A hopefulist hot take. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about men and their advocacy for women or lack thereof. I have often been accused of being a man hater, a man basher, since I have been a lot more vocal in my support of the feminist movement. And again, I'll explain that in itself is patriarchy. Trying to paint somebody in a bad light for speaking out about issues that are very real and very damaging for the people involved, painting them out to be crazy, annoying, over the top, radical, all of that is a way of patriarchy. It's a form of patriarchy to try and make an example of those people who have the guts to speak out and say things against society and societal norms. And they're served as an example to the others. So if you are watching somebody be bashed for speaking out for the rights of others, the hope is it will discourage you from doing the same. And unfortunately, that really, really still works. And I know this firsthand from all of the friends and family that I have lost in the last 2 years since I have been speaking out about the fact that women deserve to have right over their own body, at the very least. At the very least. So what really kind of sparked this quick episode is a quote that I came across that says, "No man advocates for men's issues such as rape and a high suicide rate harder than men in comment sections of posts advocating for women's issues." So what they do is they come into a conversation that a woman is having about her experience, and they try to one-up it. Yeah, well, men's suicide rates are much higher, or men get raped too. I am not a man hater. I try really hard not to bash men, but there are times that I have no choice but to point out what they are doing, which is interpreted as man bashing. Because again, patriarchy is set up for the comfort of men. So men being called out, they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable. And then they just poo-poo you. Ugh, she's coming at me again. I just had an incident yesterday with my neighbor and love them to death. Love my neighbors. And we were talking about his grandson, and, he's a year and a half, and we were talking about, the sports teams and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm making him an Orioles fan because that's what I am. And that's great. That's fine. But I just said, what's his mom? What, is she like a fan of a different team? And he's like, well, I think it should be the dad's team anyway. And I just went, what? And he knows what I'm about. He knows what I talk about, what I advocate for, all of that stuff. And he just shook his head. He's like, what? Yeah, whatever, And I'm positive that he went back into his house and said to his wife, well, Wendy just came at me. And I'm the crazy one. I'm the crazy one. Why is it an automatic thing that a boy would follow the dad's sports team? That's what I want to know. Now, if a woman doesn't have a sports team, that's fine. But that's not what he said. He said he should follow the father's sports team anyway. So these are just a couple of examples where I'm just trying to point out the way that we have been trained to think this way. And that would have been a normal, fine statement 20 years ago. And I'm sure he thought it was a fine, normal statement now. But it's just this theory that men have the upper hand, that men are going to be the default position, that the man should have all of the respect and the say in everything. So when you call men out on this, it makes them very uncomfortable. It makes them feel like they're being attacked. And I am not attacking individual men. I am attacking a system that we have all been conditioned into. You know, a lot of the patriarchal thoughts that men have are not their fault. They have been ingrained and indoctrinated into the system just like women have. They just have been lucky enough to be on the higher end of it. They have reaped the benefits, the rewards. Women have not. But when men are in a position to be an advocate for us, to help us, to join us in trying to be treated as equality, to be treated as equals in this country, they let me down time and time again. And that goes back to what this quote is. You know, men don't seem to care about the men who are raped or how high the suicide rates are for men until women are talking about it for themselves. They only want to bring it up when it's convenient for them to try and put women in their place by saying, we have the same issues. And we all know that's not true. We all know that women are raped way more often than men are. Does it happen? Absolutely. And it's not a contest. Women talking about their experience is not an invitation for men to come in to tell us about their experience. If they want to talk about their experience, they can do that on their own social media account. They don't need to come into a woman's account when she's talking about her own experience and tell her how she's wrong, because that's what they're doing. The other issue that was very disappointing to me was when Roe v. Wade was first overturned. The Army, not just the Army, all of the military branches had made a stipulation that if a woman were to get pregnant while she was in service, living in a state that had outlawed abortion, that they would pay for her travel and time off to go to another state to get a legal abortion. And they did this because women have no choice. Nobody has any choice in where they are being stationed. So in order to make that work for women, they came up with this plan. And this plan has gotten a lot of pushback from a lot of different people, but mostly men who are saying, well, why don't we get that extra time off? Why can't we get that extra time off? As if it's a vacation or something. I'm just totally baffled. You know, men have the upper hand when it comes to everything in this country. And God forbid they give women something extra for a devastating reason, for a very traumatic situation and procedure. And they complain that they don't get that time off, that it's not fair to them, that women are getting extra time off. I mean, it's hard not to bash them when these are the cases. It's really hard not to. So the thing that makes me the most crazy is they won't even vote for the people who will put women on an equal footing with men in this country. A lot of men don't care that it affects their wife, their daughters, their granddaughters, their nieces, their sisters. They don't care. They just want what they can get, and they don't want to compromise on anything because they've always had it this way. And instead of being grateful that they've had it so good for so long and to help women get a little bit out from underneath the oppression that they've been in, nope, they don't want to do that. Because every time you talk to them about anything, they treat it as an attack because that's how it feels to them. And it's not. It's just merely questioning why. Why is this the way things have always been? Why does it have to continue to be the way that it continues in the future? Why? It doesn't. It doesn't. So, no, I am not a man basher. No, I do not hate men. But yes, I do hate the system of patriarchy and what it does to women. It's not just about elevating men over women. It's about conditioning women to only want one thing in life. Like a kicker of a football team telling a bunch of women graduating from college that the most important thing they will ever do is become a mother. Now, we live in a time where this is starting to be questioned, but there are so many people that are defending that speech. I would not like that speech regardless of where it was, but it was completely inappropriate at a college graduation ceremony. Completely inappropriate. So there's my quick take on, the problem with men. For more, go to my website, Hopefulist.com.